Welcome to Inspired Living with Marc Lainhart, the intuitive prospector. Every Wednesday, Marc, along with his special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Marc will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Marc is a tested, certified, and professional spiritual medium, metaphysical teacher, healer, and spiritual advisor with a spiritual practice based in Seattle, Washington. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
And good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Happy New Year to all of you out there, and welcome to Inspired Living, where every moment is an opportunity to ignite your passion and your curiosities and embrace the mysteries, the phenomenons, the unknown, the ordinary, and yes, the extraordinary. I'm your host, Marc Lainhart, the intuitive prospector, here with you yet again for another soul adventure and an inspiring episode to explore, discuss, and discover the many diamonds within each and every one of us and the many hidden gems in our world that have yet to be revealed to us around the world. I'm thrilled to have you join us today as we embark on a journey of inspiration, motivation, and transformation. Whether you're tuning in from the comfort of your home, on the road, or wherever life takes you, this show is designed to uplift your spirit and empower your dreams. Here at Inspired Living, we believe that within each of us lies the potential to create the life we desire. Together, we'll explore stories of resilience, wisdom, and creativity that will spark your imagination and encourage you to take bold steps towards your goals. Inspired Living is all about fostering a supportive and empowering community. Each episode will highlight incredible guests who have overcome challenges, pursued their passions, and make a positive impact in their fields. From artists and entrepreneurs to thought leaders and wellness advocates, we'll bring you diverse voices and perspectives that resonate with the journey of personal growth. We'll delve into topics like mindfulness, creativity, goal setting, resilience, providing you with practical tips and insights to apply in your own life. Inspired listeners can expect engaging discussions, thought-provoking questions, and actionable steps to turn inspiration into reality. Additionally, we'll create a space for you to share your own stories and experiences. Your journey matters, and we want to celebrate your victories, no matter how big or how small. Together, we can cultivate a mindset of possibilities and unlock the doors to our dreams. So whether you're seeking encouragement, looking for new ideas, or simply want to feel connected, Inspired Living is here to fuel your journey and inspire each of us to live our best lives. As we like to say here on Inspired Living, and that is, you are the inspired and the inspiration. So let's be inspired, let's inspire others, and let's inspire before we expire. I do want to give a big shout out and say, of course, Happy New Year, and thank you to all of our inspired listeners from around the globe, the universe, and yes, beyond. My team and I here at Inspired Living are always so very humbled and grateful to you and listening, downloading, subscribing, leaving reviews, and you've voted to make Inspired Living Radio and Podcast not only a best inspirational show, but a best spiritual show to follow and listen to as referenced and sourced by FeedSpot. So we really appreciate it, and we really appreciate you. If you have not yet subscribed, liked, or followed the show, there's always time to do so over on our main social media platforms. At Facebook, you're going to look for the community page that says Inspired Living Radio and Podcasts. Our Instagram and X pages, formerly known as Twitter, just look for Inspired For Us. That is the number 4. And of course, over on our YouTube channel, just look for Inspired Living Radio. And we're now streaming through Audible. And you can ask Alexa to open up your favorite podcast. Just say, Alexa, open up Inspired Living Podcast, and that will play the latest episode for you. So let's get started with today's show. We're going to be talking about the age of knowing. And I always like to say a new day, a new opportunity, a day we've not seen before to use our intuition to prospect this wonderful world around us. So get ready to be inspired and motivated because the best is yet to come. Let's go prospecting. So I do want to say, of course, to you listeners out there, Happy New Year. We are in the year of the 9. And from a numerology standpoint, what does that mean in the year of the 9? And I'll explain that in this episode. Going to be talking about the age of knowing. I do believe that the age of belief is over, and I believe that we are now entering in the age of knowing. And we'll talk about some of those things that are helping us to move from belief into knowing. And we're about halfway through, this decade, which when I started doing this show 9 seasons ago, I talked about how our roaring 20s of transformation were going to be very impactful and something history will look back on and say, wow, it was during that roaring 20s that the earth and consciousness and people around the globe really started to waken up and awaken to their own intuition, awaken to the world as a whole, knowing that we only have one planet as of right now. Until we will discover more planets, but as of right now, this is the only planet we have, and I think people are really starting to look at that. And so, in the year of the snake, from a Chinese horoscope philosophy, the year of the snake is what 2025 is set to be. It's also the year of 9 in numerology, and what that means is you just take the numbers real simply, and you add up those numbers, and that adds up to a total number, and then you break that down to a single digit. So if you take 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, that equals 9. And what that means is that we're in the year of completion. We're in the year of transformation. We're also in the year of transparency. And there is a lot of things that are going to come to light, and we'll talk about this in the next hour. And the numerology number, when we get to this 9 cycle in numerology, you start back over. So next year in 2026 will be the year of the 1, and we'll start things anew. And it goes all the way through throughout history. These numbers repeat themselves. And, I've always been fascinated with numerology and the work that I do. It's one of the tools in my spiritual toolbox that helps me look at things from a broader, more intuitive perspective. Just like a carpenter would have his tools in his toolbox, hammers and a saw, a plumber may have, a plunger or a wrench, a welder may have his welding helmet. As a spiritualist, I have many different tools that I can look at and use to assist me with making an informed, educated, logical decision. Because a lot of times the work that I do, you may question the logic in it. You may question the intelligence of it. Sometimes you have to wait for things to unfold because they don't happen in real time. And I always remind my listeners or my students or any events that I'm doing, when you are ready, not when somebody else says you're ready, when you are ready, the spirit world will start to show you things that others just won't see. And I really believe that. My journey began years ago, over 2 decades ago, to start unraveling the many mysteries, the phenomenon, the knowns and the unknowns, the seen and the unseen of what our journey is. And in the year of the snake, according to the Chinese horoscope philosophy, the snake itself is very rich in symbolism and cultural significance. And just like with numerology, I use that as a tool to look at the year ahead. I do predictions, I do forecasting, but with any prediction, with any forecast, are we going to ever be 100% right? Not right now. Even the weatherman can't get the weather 100% right. But the tools that are coming into our reality that are manifesting in the future, there will be more accurate, certain predictions and forecasts. And we'll talk about that with the age of knowing. But when we use numerologies, when we use horoscopes, you could also look at the astrology of what's going to happen here in just a few weeks. On January 25th, we're going to see the Great Alignment, where you'll be able to see all the planets up in the sky perfectly aligned and shining back to Earth. So all of our planets will align in the Great Alignment. To me, that's interesting because it tells me the year of the snake, the year of the 9, the Great Alignment. I've also talked in my former podcasts about not only the roaring 20s of our transformation, but the great coming together. And I'm not moving away from that. I do think that there's going to be events that bring humanity together at a very global level. For some, it will be awesome. For others of you, it might be frightening or scary, or it might shake your status quo or your paradigm. But again, life never asks us what we want. Life just goes and we show up and participate in this thing called life, the school of life, if you will. But looking at numerology, looking at the astrology, looking at the spiritual characteristics of this year and the year of the 9, those tools help me to talk about what I'm going to be talking about today, which is the age of knowing. For many, many centuries, we've always had beliefs, and beliefs drive us as humans, whether it's religious belief, political belief, there's many different belief systems out there. And I believe with where we're going with our technology, with our our elements, our cultural significance. We're moving into this age of knowing. And when you apply the numerology to it, and again, numerology, as far back as I've researched, is over 11,000 years old. Okay, and it is just a tool that I use, but it's over 11,000 years old, so it's got some stay power here. It's been around for a long time, and it's we always say numerology is the cousin to music, because Pythagorean, if you know Pythagorean's theorem, if you ever study geometry or calculus or sacred geometry, Pythagorean always talked about the fascination with numbers and how numbers can also tell us and communicate to us in a different way. And if you think about it, everybody listening to today's show uses numbers every single day of your life. You wake up to a number. You're probably wearing a number on your wrist, like I am as I look at my watch. And we're the only species that measures our life by time, right? And these numbers have influence on us, and they do communicate to us, and they do tell us different stories if you're open to shift your perspective. And so Pythagorean always said that numerology was a cousin to music, because music is fascinating within itself, is because music is a series of notes put together to make a song, right? If you only had just one note, that's just a note. It's not necessarily music, but you put these notes in a correlation and you string them together, they make beautiful harmony. They make beautiful sound. And if we take it one step further, when you apply sound frequency to things such as salt or sand, and you turn it to a right frequency, you can actually see the universe come alive, called sacred geometry. It's something that I've worked on over my journey of my spiritual pathways. I've worked with my students. I've done this in events, and it's quite fascinating to use sound frequency and vibration. You hook it up to a table, you turn it to like 532 hertz, and the sand or the salt that you've placed on the table will vibrate into perfect squares and circles, or square within a circle, or the lotus flower. It's very fascinating. So to me, that really started to open up my mind for using numbers, using music, using astrology, using horoscopes, using all these things that are all around us if we choose to. And again, when it comes to the snake, which in the Chinese astrology, each zodiac sign will be associated with the 5 elements of what we would call wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And in the year of the snake, because it's rich in symbolism and cultural significance, the characteristics of the snake, and it's something I have long been fascinated with the snakes. It's funny, I'm actually not scared of snakes. My wife can't be around them. They don't bother me, but I'm scared of spiders. And so it's kind of an anomaly or an oxymoron. Is like, spiders really can't hurt you. They can bite you and make you sick. Snake could actually kill you, but yet I'm scared of spiders, but yet not scared of snakes. So, something that I've been working on, but I think it's more of just the fascination with the snake itself. In spiritualism, the snake, with my recent events with plant medicines, is very symbolic with the snake, because the snake is often viewed in many cultures as an intelligent and wise creature. They usually have the belief that they have a deep understanding of the world around them. They are sometimes a mystery and an enigma. Snakes tend to embody mystery, and they can be intriguing, yet they can be complex. The snake's smooth movements gives it an elegant grace, and it can translate into this year as smooth movements, elegance, and grace, if we choose to, right? Because at the end of the day, we look at the world, and I think it was Einstein that said, the more real you get about your journey and about yourself, the more unreal the world around you gets. And I look, this last few years of surgeries and healing and transformations and ascension and alchemy, I've really, done some really deep spiritual work. And as I'm getting real with myself, I look out at the world, and just some of the things that I see, some of the things that are said, things that people are doing, it's quite unreal to me. And so that quote kind of has stuck with me this last year, about the more real we get, the more unreal the world around us gets. And you just can open up the news. You can open up social media and read and see what's going on around the world. If you want to, I would advise not to do that. I would actually recommend less, especially as social media moving forward is just going to get more diabolical and more dividing for people. Get a lot of keyboard warriors that have opinions about everything. But in the year of the snake, and in the year of 9 from numerology, we are talking about not only mysteries, but elegance and grace, and using wisdom and intelligence. And I feel that we are entering officially the age of knowing. And if you are going to associate this astrology to your zodiac sign, I'll break it down for you here. It's if you know your element based on your horoscope. A lot of times astrology and horoscopes will actually have one of the elements. For example, I'm a Taurus, so I'm actually an earth element. I'm actually tied to the earth, which makes sense because I love trees, I love hiking, I love the ocean. I love everything about that earth element, right? So if you know I'm not going to go through the whole horoscope, but if you know your zodiac sign, you'll know that usually there's an association with one of those 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And when the year of the snake comes up, like it is now, it's influenced by these elements, and they can add different dimensions to your personality traits and your fortunes. So, for example, if you are a wood snake, so your element is wood based on your horoscope, that represents, for this year, it represents growth and creativity. If you're a fire element, the fire snake symbolizes passion and energy. If you're an earth snake, like me, I'm the earth snake, tied to the earth, that's associated with stability and practicality. And that makes a lot of sense for me and where I've been and where I'm going in this last year. The metal snake, if you're a metal element based on your horoscope, it represents strength and resilience. If you're a water-based element, the water snake is linked to intuition and adaptability. So out of those elements, these are what that are in store for you. Again, free will and choice always applies. But if you choose to, and you use your free will to start to explore, dream, discover, as I like to say, through body, mind, and spirit, you become, just like me, an intuitive prospector, using your intuition to prospect this world around you, but also to prospect deep within yourself to know thyself, right? The journey, as Lao Tzu reminds us, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But to really know thyself, this especially for me, I guess I'm speaking to myself here, is to really go in and see, and do some self observations, go deeper in my awakening, my self understanding, and yes, at some point, try to reach what Buddha talked about all the time is enlightenment. Now, enlightenment, if you can get to enlightenment, congratulations, it's not a task easily completed. But I always say that experiences and education lead us to knowledge. We are the sum of our experiences. Knowledge will lead us to wisdom. Wisdom then can hopefully get us to that next step of enlightenment. And I believe in 2025, in this roaring 20s of transformation, that we have entered that officially, this knowledge and wisdom state of mind. And so even with enlightenment, though, Buddha always said, if you reach enlightenment, you still got to go out and take care of the garden. You still got to weed your garden. You still got to flush your toilet. You still got to clean your house, right? So even enlightenment says you've reached this bliss or the state of peace, but you still have to do the work around you in the material world. So some of the cultural significance, when I was preparing for the show, because I was looking, I was like, what are some of the tools I can use? Not just numerology and your horoscope and astrology, but also look at some of the things that are going to be coming up for us in 2025 in this year of knowing. And I'll come back to that in a little bit. But what I wanted to say, just as we enter this this age of knowing, and when I say that, I say that we're moving from belief into knowing, the age of knowledge, age of knowing something. And belief is always going to be there. Belief has always been there. Belief instills hope. Hope instills us to show up each day to try to live our best lives or find, an alternative to reach your best life. But as we delve deeper into some of the specific trends that I've been watching and observing in our society and in consciousness, the first one in 2025 is going to be the technological advancements that we're witnessing. The first one, and I'm sure you've heard about it, or you've heard it discussed, or you've read about it, or seen it on social media, is artificial intelligence. And by 2025, artificial intelligence, also known as AI, is expected to be more embedded in everyday applications. I see it in my tools that I use currently on my desktop, in my meetings. There's an AI assistant now that will take your notes. And these everyday applications are going to be applied, including predicting the weather. The AI models are saying that we're going to witness in this decade of our roaring 20s, we're going to witness our first Category 6 hurricane. Now, right off the top of my head, I can't remember what the sustained winds would be, but it's a lot. If we get into a Category 6, there wasn't always a Category 5 or a Category 4, but as the Earth has changed, as global warming has taken place, whether you believe in global warming or you don't believe in global warming, the science shows us that the planet is warming, whether it's by humans or just by natural events. But we didn't used to have category 5s. We didn't used to have category 4s. And over the course of the last 100 years, especially with the advancement of weather systems, satellites, we've become more knowledgeable to predict the weather on a pretty consistent basis. Not at 100%, but it's getting up there, I would say, in the high 80s, low 90s. And artificial intelligence is going to make this application, these everyday applications, even more accurate. And these are including, maybe you've gone to a site like I have, and you're typing in a question, and all of a sudden, a AI-driven customer service bot pops up and says, "Hello, Mark. How can I help you today?" That's not a person, even though there's a picture of a person. It's not a real person. It's an AI customer service bot. And there's going to be AI used in personalized marketing strategies. So, and I already see this because when I click on something, the algorithms, the knowledge of what I'm clicking on. What was something I just clicked on the other day that was very random? I think I was looking at yurts because my dream is to have property in the future and create, have this yurt where I can do community events, spiritual events, and within my different social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, all of a sudden I start getting these personalized marketing strategies based on the yurt. And it's a little overwhelming. It's a little annoying at times, but that is based on AI. AI is using, and when you click the keyboard, you get a keystroke. It measures the keystroke, and then it actually goes out and finds information, and then will personalize marketing strategy. Even AI in the creative fields like art and music compositions, you're seeing AI-driven technology, whether in video or music. There's going to be, I think, down the road, we're going to see a lot of legal battles on, using somebody's likeness or using their voice. But this is all based on the technology advancements of AI. I know that businesses right now are leveraging AI predictive analytics and models for the stock market, for the weather, for investing, for futures, and improving efficiency, but also using AI to become better decision-making people with the assistance of AI. Now, I don't personally believe, and I haven't seen evidence of this, but I have many times researched the godfather of AI who left Google to warn about AI, but I don't see AI at any time in the near future becoming sentient. Becoming consciousness of its own, because the data is inputted and it's driven by humans, which humans are not perfect either, so AI won't be perfect. If AI was to ever become self-aware or sentient, I think it would be maybe a couple hundred years, maybe not, maybe 50 to 100 years down the road, if that's even the case. I don't believe in the Terminators, like you see in Hollywood movies. I don't believe that would be the future that we have. I would hope not, but it will at some point. Who's to say that we aren't AI driven, right? That we became self-aware, that we were created by something bigger than ourselves. Some of you may call that God. God has been around, but what is God, right? Or is there an advanced species that has put us in this simulation or this reality that we live here on Earth, right? So it's those type of questions that make you go, makes you think outside the box. But AI is going to be the age of knowledge, and it's here. It's actually out there in many applications, and you're going to see more and more of it. That leads me to the second one, quantum computing. I know that IBM has actually put out, they're working with the Cleveland Hospital, I believe, to put out the first quantum computing, which means quantum is actually gathering information at a very rapid speed. Companies and research institutions are going to continue this year and the years after to make breakthroughs that can revolutionize fields like material science, drug discovery, and anything that has to do with complex situations. Quantum computing can actually go out and find the information and make detailed decision-making bullet points or sharing knowledge about what's the best way to move forward. In fact, I just read the other day, allegedly, that Google has, using their AI tool, because Google's been working on this and Apple's been working on this for a long time, well over a decade. They have said that they've actually found proof of multidimensional. And we've talked about multidimensional. We've had multidimensional guests on the show. There's movies out there that talk and reference television, movies, all reference this multidimensional theory. and construct. Well, Google just came out within the last few weeks and said that they have proof. Now, I'm waiting to see the proof, right? The proof is in the pudding. But if they have proof, what does that look like? What would that look like for us as a society to say that, yes, there is an extra dimensional format and that we're just one of 12 dimensions? It's interesting because if you apply science to this, science tells us that the brain can actually receive in many different frequencies, more than 12. And I always go back to, Nikola Tesla, who always said, if you really, really, truly want to unlock the secrets of the universe, you have to think in terms of energy, frequency, vibration. Those are the keys that are going to unlock these doors of mysteries and phenomenon that we've been dealing with. But just, as we move into the age of knowledge, not only technology advancement, but this quantum computing is going to really revolutionize the fields that I'm talking about. Quantum supremacy might lead to new algorithms that outperform classical computers and, the specific tasks that computers can do for us on a daily basis. And then we're going to now start to apply that just into our 5G and beyond. So the 5G technology, there was a lot of controversy when we were moving from 3G to 4G, and everybody was going to get, all these symptoms from having 5G in our reality. 5G, that has been now adopted. That is widespread. The 5G adoption is out, and it is, expect improvements in what we call augmented reality, AR, or virtual reality, VR. Applications, and you're going to see enhancing entertainment, gaming, and remote collaboration exercises. One example I'll give you, and then we're going to go to our a break, is a doctor just in Japan did a very detailed, precise surgery for somebody here in the United States in LA, and he was actually using AR, which is augmented reality, and VR, using a Game Boy remote to actually use the Da Vinci machine in the LA surgical room to perform the surgery from Japan. So these are the things that we're going to start to see in the age of knowing, and moving from belief into knowledge and then into knowing. So when we come back, we're going to pick this conversation right back up, and I'll give you a few more things that I'm seeing for 2025 in the year of the snake and the number 9 in numerology. So we'll be right back here in just a few minutes. You're listening to Inspired Living Radio.
Of internet radio is here. Om Times Radio, IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
One planet, 7.3 billion people. Only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free, ascendinghearts.com.
You came across someone struggling with hunger. How would you recognize them? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for
summer break because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time landing
a job and getting back on his feet?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Inspired Living. I'm your host, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us today. Today's episode, we are discussing moving from the age of belief into the age of knowledge. And as I was sitting here doing my write-up on Monday for the show, one of my favorite quotes, and this is really where I really start to come from, is the quote from Socrates. And he says this, quote, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing," end quote. And that's always kind of stuck with me because there's a lot of people out in the world, I'm sure you know, family, friends, colleagues that, claim to know everything or very, knowledgeable, but are they, right? And true knowledge is knowing that you know nothing at all. Confucius would go on to say, quote, "Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance," end quote. Lao Tzu would go on to say this, quote, "Knowing others is wisdom. Knowing yourself is enlightenment," end quote. Borstein would go on to say, quote, "The greatest obstacle to discovery is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge," end quote. Horace Mann would go on to say, quote, "Every addition to true knowledge is an addition to human power," end quote. And of course, the great Leonardo da Vinci would say this, quote, "Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Being willing is not enough. We must do," end quote. And those quotes for today's show have really resonated with me as we move into the year of the 9 in 2025, into the year of the snake. And the tools that I was talking about when I opened up the show, these help me to look at what this year is going to look like. Now, of course, with everything, this year is going to always have natural disasters. It's always going to have chaos and violence because that is the human condition, right? Humans haven't evolved yet, hopefully, fingers crossed, and there's always hope that we will. But even if you look at the, maybe I'll do another show this year on the intelligence scale based on just the universe. What's a civilization one through 5? And we're not even at the 1 scale when it comes to human civilization here on planet Earth, right? And there's a fun, I can't remember the name of it, but if you go to my YouTube channel, and again, shout out to all of you intuitive prospectors joining me on this journey, whether it's here on Inspired Living on Wednesdays, or if it's my Friday show, Metaphysical Meetup with Mark Live, or my YouTube channel. We just went over 30,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. And I'm really grateful for that. So thank you, because that tells me that people are interested in the work and the content that I'm putting out there. But there's a really fun channel, and I'll have to look it up. This wasn't in my notes to do, but it talks about civilization scales. And again, with humans, we think that we're smarter than what we really are. We're not as smart as we think we are, and we're less than 1 on as civilizations go. And so I was, when somebody asked me that, what's the scale? I thought, with our technology and our space travel and our cars and, our electricity, I was like, oh, we've got to be like a 1 to 2. No, we're not even, it's going to be, before we even hit that civilization 1 status, it's probably going to be another 50 to 100 years. But imagine what that looks like. 50 to 100 years. Imagine, just go back. So I tell people as a joke that I'm BC, before computers, right? I grew up with all of the technology before computers, the whole cell phone, smartphone. Shoot, we could go back to the rotary phone, the phone mounted on the wall, the phone that was that looked like a brick, the first, brick phone. I can remember all of those. And so, on my YouTube channel, it's called the Kardashev scale, is the actual what does civilizations look like? And it's called the Kardashev scale. It's spelled Kardashev, and it's a scale that was put together by this very smart astrophysicist years ago. And the channel, if you want to just see the breakdown of the observable universe and where we fall in the universe, which, the James Webb now has reclassified our universe being over 13 billion years. Before the James Webb, it was estimated that our universe was about 9 billion years. When we look back from it's even questioning if the Big Bang theory is actually real. People are questioning that because the James Webb is, that technology that us as humans have created and put 1 million miles out in orbit out from the light of the Earth. It tells us that the universe is about 13 billion years. So we were off 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 5 billion years, just 5 billion years, right? But the channel is called Kurzgesagt. It's a German word. It's spelled Kurzgesagt. And it's a fun channel on YouTube to follow. I've been following them and subscribed to them for years because they can break down some of these complex conversations that we have here on Inspired Living and put it more into layman terms to where you can be like, oh, I understand what that was saying. I didn't understand what Mark was saying on his show, but now I get a better understanding. So that's just a tool. That's a reference that you can use. But it's called the Kardashev scale, and we're less than 1. And we won't hit 1 for another, in their prediction, another couple hundred years in their prediction to even hit civilization 1. But with all of the technology, with all of the AI, with all of the things that we are moving into, and including the 5G, the enhancements to use 5G for, not only enhancing entertainment, gaming, and remote collaboration experiences. Another example that you can see in real time is the drones. I just went to a game this season for my beloved Seattle Seahawks, go Hawks, even though they didn't make the playoffs, with a 10-7 record, but I'm not bitter. They had a drone show for the first time that I sat and watched, and it was just fascinating because they could do pictures in the sky using these drones that are AI connected. And we're talking like 200, 300 drones that would make these pictures that would move in the sky. Now, that to me is quite cool. That to me is using quantum computing. That to me is using AI and algorithm. That to me is using 5G. And, as far as the drones go on both coasts, what's happening with the drones, those aren't just drones, y'all. Those are also going to be part of the age of knowing that we're not alone. That I've had many shows in 9 seasons, and we've talked about the secrets of Antarctica. There's a whole continent down there waiting to be explored and discovered and release some of its mysteries and phenomenon. These mysteries go all the way back, before World War II. Antarctica is going to open up a lot of knowing information for us. Again, space itself, realizing that we're not alone in the universe, because I don't believe that, what everybody is seeing out there are all drones. Some of them are the size of a bus. I'm sure some of them are, government created. We always have secret ops. I worked for the government for over 23 years, and our government has never been transparent with us and is always breaking the Constitution. So I don't believe that they're all drones. I think some of them are drones. Some of them could be, a nighttime phenomenon like Venus, or, a plane, or, these military operations. But at the same time, you also have to bring in the reality that, why do UFOs, why do UAPs have lights? Because they're showing us, they're observing us, they're letting us know that we're not alone. And these don't have to be little green men from outer space. You can go back through cultures dating back thousands of years, in cave paintings in Australia to today, paintings from the 1500s. There's always been reference to extra-dimensional beings, in intelligent species. We're not the alpha species. Again, we think we are, but we're not. And some of these drones are UAPs, and they're showing us with their lights and their colors, and they're hovering, and they're not intimidating, they're not threatening. That's going to also happen in the Roaring Twenties transformation, that we will officially know, the government will have to report on it, the news media will have to report on it, that we are not alone in the universe. And that's going to be fantastic for those that have been talking about this, but it's going to be scary for those that have a deep seat in religion. It doesn't fall into their scripture, it doesn't fall into their belief system. But at the same time, I go back to when, George Washington was alive. When he passed, I think it was 1799, there was no knowledge of dinosaurs. It wouldn't be until, the early 1800s that we would actually discover dinosaurs and the fossils of dinosaurs to say, hey, there was a whole world before us 65 million years ago, right? And so I believe in the age of knowing, the age of knowledge in 2025, that is also going to be the same thing that's going to unravel itself and be transparent and be that year of the snake. It's going to come in gracefully, but with a lot of wisdom. And that's including extra-dimensional beings that are showing themselves to us, not just on the West Coast, but over on the East Coast and places all around the globe. And that to me is fascinating, because that's telling me that we're ready to ascend, not a Star Trek moment where it's like, beam me up, Scotty, but to let us know just by observing us and letting us know that they are observing us, that can change our mindset, that can change our perspective, it can change our reality and our consciousness. And I can speak to this as an experiencer. I've done, prior podcasts where I've talked about my days in the Coast Guard off the coast of Puerto Rico, the tip of the Bermuda Triangle, with my own personal experience, out in the middle of nowhere, in the phenomenon that I witnessed, very similar to what was done in the 1976 movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I don't believe that was a movie script. I believe that was given to Spielberg to write about and put into a movie. And again, does art imitate life, or does life imitate art? I've always questioned that. Because what I saw out in the middle of nowhere in the deep Caribbean Sea off Puerto Rico were those light anomalies, that this was before drones, and these were not natural phenomenon, weather, phenomenon. These were things that were intelligent and moved and danced and let us know that they knew we were watching them, right? That's the feeling I had. And ever since that day, I've become a believer that there is a lot out there that we have just not yet discovered, the hidden gems that I talk about all around the world, the diamond within, but all the hidden gems. We always see the planet from social media or from space. We always see the planet with landmass, but on the backside of the planet, just like on the backside of the moon, this planet is 70% water. There's a whole vast area on the backside of the planet that doesn't have any landmass, and there's a whole area for extra-dimensional beings to have, their underwater alien bases. And again, I want to put my tinfoil hat on the conspiracy theory, but again, this conspiracy theory is one of the oldest, longest-running conspiracy theories known to mankind. Right. And as an experiencer, it's not a conspiracy to me anymore. It's a reality. And so in the age of knowing, we're going to learn that we're not alone in this universe. And again, they don't have to be little green from outer space or living on the moon. They could be right here and have been here the entire time, living in our oceans, living off the Bermuda Triangle. A lot of people don't even know there's an Alaska Triangle up in Alaska that has more people go missing in Alaska than they do in the Bermuda Triangle. So there's a lot of places on the planet deep down in the earth. We wouldn't, Antarctica, there's places that we don't go, we won't see. And I've long said in my prediction and forecast that we will learn that we're not alone officially and publicly, that the government will have to recognize and the media will have to recognize, but it's going to come from crowdsourcing. It's interesting that the government is having these intelligence Senate committee hearings. There's a budget for looking and studying UAPs. There's pilots now that have come out as whistleblowers, and so they're protected under the Whistleblower Protection Act, to say, yeah, what we're seeing is not of our making and it's not of our timeline. This technology is far superior and far more advanced. And so just wait. I call it the drip, drip, drip. And eventually it'll come out to where crowdsourcing, where people that has a smartphone, the technology is going to crowdsource this event. And it's something, in my visions and my predictions, I've seen this just, these large ships that hover over a body of water. So they're not intimidating. They're not threatening. They're not coming over the city. And they're just going to sit there. Not going to necessarily communicate with us, but just let us know, that they are here watching and observing us to see what we do next, right? They're very fascinated with our nuclear capabilities. And, some people always say, oh, that's just a large drone. They're always going to be the critics and the cynics that, the pundits that say, oh, that's just a balloon or that's a drone. Yeah, it could very well be. But at the same time, you have to question your reality, because, if I go out to the ocean and I've got a jar and I dip that jar in the water, I'm not going to probably capture an octopus or a whale, which we both know. We both know that those species are very intelligent, very empathic, very logic, problem solving. But I didn't capture that in my jar of water. So that's the same thing with the universe. The universe is so vast and so big. The Drake equation that I talked about in 2024, the Dyson spheres, which I believe that James Webb has already discovered, and NASA's and is just in an upheaval because they don't know what to do with this for society. Does society move forward with this knowledge, or does society implode? How does religion move forward, right? So all these questions. But in the year of knowing, moving from belief to knowing, that's just going to be one of the things, that drip, 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 and extra dimensional beings. But there's also going to be some very cool things. I retired from healthcare with the federal government, and some of the healthcare innovations that I've already personally experienced, including the telemedicine expansion. I actually see my doctors now more on video, just like the Jetsons back in the 60s was promoting, than I actually do in person. One, it's convenient. It doesn't take time to get in the car. Well, I can't get in the car right now because I can't drive for my surgery, but the time, the effort, the gas to go have an appointment and then come back. Now you have telemedicine expansion, and that is because of the technology advancement that we're witnessing. I believe that telehealth is going to become mainstream. There's going to be regulations that may evolve to support interstate practices, insurance reimbursements. I believe that AI is going to have diagnostics to do remote consultations. A lot of my readings that I do phone readings, in-person readings, and online readings. And majority, I would say probably 80% of my readings now are done online through I guess you'd call it telepsychic or telemedium experience, I guess. But I work with people and I attend events all around the world through the tele experience, through the Zoom platform or the Teams platform or whatever, platform you're using. It was funny when I was doing the quotes for today's show, quotes about knowing, down below on Google, it says generative AI is experimental. It literally says that on my screen as I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, it is experimental, but we're moving forward with this age of moving from belief into knowing. And one of those is going to be the telemedicine in the healthcare innovations. I do believe that we're going to see wearable technology. We already have it. I'm wearing my Apple Watch right now, which can measure my heart rate. But devices that not just monitor your fitness. I remember I had a Fitbit back in the day, but also chronic conditions. So like diabetes, we're seeing more advanced technology that's going to be AI driven for diabetes. If somebody's having a heart attack, it's going to tell you on your watch, hey, Mark, you're having a heart attack. You need to go to the hospital. We'll also start to see in healthcare from an AI and technology standpoint, nanotechnology, where there will be nanotechnology within our bloods and our cells that will actually help with, one, overall health conditions, two, beating diseases that kill people every single day around the planet, and people are going to live longer, right? So we have to have these conversations for what the future looks like. If jobs are going away because of AI, do we start to have conversations based on universal income? As we start to live longer, the average person is living much longer. I just watched Demi Moore win an award at the Golden Globes the other night. I believe she's 63. She does not look 63 to me, right? And so, we are witnessing and observing people that, are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and hundreds that are still going strong. And so, healthcare innovations is going to just make that longevity of the human race even more. And again, chronic conditions, people that might be terminal, there's going to be, some breakthroughs in that, providing real-time data to both patients and healthcare providers. Personalized medicine is going to have a big play in this, advances in gene editing technologies. We've sequenced the DNA strand. So now we're going to take that further with AI and healthcare innovations to, gene edit and to look at how genes create diseases and therapies, or, for genetic disorders, and making treatments more effective while reducing side effects, right? You see those infomercials all the time. Take this one pill, but there's 15 side effects. You're like, why did I take the one pill? I don't want more side effects. AI and technology and knowledge in the age of knowing is going to be a part of that. Another big one, sustainability and the environment. Renewable energy is going to be a debate because we at some point, just warning, we will run out of oil in the future. So we have to start looking at ways of renewable energy. Countries are ramping up their investments all around the globe. Don't take my word for it. Go look at the government, follow the money, follow where this money is going. You'll see that countries around the world are ramping up their investments in renewable energy and energy infrastructure, aiming for a carbon neutral environment, and innovations on battery technology, energy storage, making renewable energy more viable, because at some point we will run out of oil. The experts know this, the scientists know this, but sometimes ignorance is bliss, and you don't want to know that, right? What does the world look like without energy? What does the world look like without oil? What does the world look like without power, right? It could be a pretty scary place, right? So the environment and our energy sustainability is going to continue to grow with renewable energy. The economy, businesses will increasingly adopt circular principles like reducing waste through reusing materials in new products, which will help with competitive advantage. Just look at space exploration. The cost of sending a rocket to space has come down significantly because they're reusing the rockets, whether it's Blue Origin or SpaceX. There's 2 flights coming up this week on the 10th and the 11th, I believe. Starship is going to do its 7th launch, and Blue Origin is going to make its first rocket launch. I think it's called the Glenn rocket. But these rockets are reusable, so they come back down. And if you've never seen them, I say go out and get on YouTube and look at them. It's fascinating to see a 23-story rocket be caught on these 2 chopstick arms and be able to use that whole rocket. So the price of even just space travel is coming down, which is that circular economy that the experts are talking about, and taking advantage of these competitive ways of getting to space or renewable energy. And then, of course, we've got climate action initiatives wherever you stand, but grassroots movements and corporate social responsibility, also known as CSR, because the corporations know whether they act or do, or is a different question. But these initiatives may lead to a stronger climate legislation and global cooperation for environmental issues. I'm talking us, Russia, China. The big countries will have at some point start to have these conversations and realize that there has to be initiatives on the climate scale because we all share this planet. You're going to see some social and culture shifts, of course. There's going to still continue to be remote work and hybrid models. Companies are trying to get people to come back in the office, but I think now that we've moved into this age of knowledge and knowing, they may adopt more flexible policies, allowing employees to choose their work environments. This is going to impact, when this happens, there's a ripple effect. It impacts city planning. It impacts real estate markets. It impacts, what buildings have. And I've seen it with my own eyes here in Seattle, Washington, downtown Seattle, with the change from, the pandemic to, our moving into the age of knowing. And that's, moving to these hybrid models of doing work elsewhere. The diversity inclusion we've talked about, the DEI organizations are going to implement more robust diversity training and mentorship programs, creating accountability for diversity matrix so everybody has a fair shot. Mental health awareness, another big one. The workplace is seeing a culture shift. We see it, not just in the culture shift of companies, but even at professional levels like sports, football, basketball, baseball. I've seen athletes say, I need a mental health break, to where, health days become standard, where mental health days is going to become standard. And companies will start to invest in mental health resources for employees because, in some places they allow you to take, in Japan, they encourage you to take a nap. So you're at your desk, there's a little bed, you take a nap, get up, continue to work. They've found great benefits in that. And you're also going to see a shift in the workday. I don't believe that in moving forward in the age of knowing that we're going to have this 5-day work week. Other countries are already looking at 32-hour work weeks, 4-day work weeks, etc. I used to work a 4-10, so I really worked 4 days anyway. So I was kind of used to it for the last, 10 years before I retired. But as we get into this last thing of what the year of 2025 is going to be with AI, technology, healthcare, cultural shifts, renewable energy, and the economy, is you're going to see the education and learning really take off. E-learning evolution, the rise of micro-credentialing and online courses is going to allow individuals to continue to gain skills quickly, but making education more responsive to market needs as new infrastructures and new ways as jobs end, just like the Industrial Revolution created new jobs. The age of knowing is going to create new jobs in space exploration, in energy renewal, in technology. And, these skill developments, you're going to see more partnerships between businesses and educational institutions. I just took an online course 2 years ago at Stanford. Who would have thought me take an online course at Stanford, right? But that's where we're going to. We're moving to these places of knowledge. And with that, we're living longer, we're becoming healthier, and our world is going to become a better place. I always hope for the best, prepare for the worst. But, my old saying is yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is the gift. That's why we often refer to it as the present moment. So I'm taking this present moment to set the inspiration, the intention, and the ripple effect that in the year of 2025, it is going to be a year of knowing, and we're going to see some amazing things transform into our reality. And, as well, you have to have balance with the good. There comes the bad, and we'll see bad things from everything, from more wars, including maybe a possible world war, political, fear, and, fear is a currency used by many, right? But as we move into this, education and economic change and geopolitical changes, I believe that the developments that we're anticipating for the year of the snake, the year of the 9 in 2025, is going to reflect a convergence of technology, sustainability, and again, social consciousness, moving from an age of belief to an age of knowing. And when we know something, we can do something about that. So embracing these changes that I've talked about today can lead us to be more informed, more connected, and create a sustainable future as ambassadors for the generations behind us and good stewards to leave a earth for the generations that have yet to come in. And I'll just wrap up the show with the quotes that I talked about. Of course, the only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing by Socrates. Confucius, real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. Lao Tzu, knowing others is wisdom, knowing yourself is enlightenment. Borstein, the greatest obstacle to discovery is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge. Horace Mann, every addition to true knowledge is an addition to human power. And of course, Leonardo da Vinci, knowing is not enough, we must apply. Be willing is not enough, we must do. I want to thank you for listening today. We'll be back with more inspirational guests, more exciting topics, and until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and most importantly, wherever you're at in this world, whatever you're doing, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live, and discover that diamond within. We'll see you next time here on Inspired Living. Take care, everybody.